Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is your brother Quadar of GMS Gulf Coast, and I'd like to start by giving infinite honor, praise, and glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakwadash. Double honors are given up to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, as well as the elders, the bishops, the heads of camps of Great Millstone, and Great Millstone by and large. Shalom also goes out to the sincere Akim, out pushing this word with all true faith and sincerity, the 100% truth, calling on the names Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. And last but not least, a shalom goes out to the men, women, and children who have also come back to the obedience of the scriptures and are calling on the names Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. To you all, shalom. Lord willing, this be edifying. I don't even know what the title of this lesson going to be, but just looking at a lot of things that are going on. Slack it just real quick. Hold up.
At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident.
Again, I was saying before I clipped that, just paying attention to what's all going on in the news, what's happening in the past 24 hours. I mean, it's been a whirlwind of different, executive orders being signed. President Trump reneging on his word. It's just a lot of, the nakedness of America being shown to the world by and large. And more importantly to its citizens, you know what I'm saying? And they're seeing that they're being duped. As we get into the first week, that is this. He took office on the 20th. What this is, the 30th. Yeah, the first 8 days or so, into this man's administration, you know what I'm saying? And it's 2.0 from the first go round. I think he got the swing of things, and he's still the same commander in chief. Brash and proud, and all of the adjectives that go along with someone that's not liked. But it says right here, latest news on D.C. plane crash as Trump blames D.E.I policies. And I know this may sound strange, but you know what? The blame game goes to these Edomites, and their policies by and large. Trump represents the right, and Biden, Obama, Kamala, and them, they represent the left. And if you've been paying attention to these politics, or to these politicians over the last 3 or 4 administrations, Barack introduced Section 8. I know I'm not saying it right. It's not Section 8, but the bill that allowed same gender people, to legally be married, you know what I'm saying? And from there, things rolled downhill because throughout the Biden administration, let's dial it back. The Barack administration actually passed legislation to make it a legal thing. I think they can get, I don't know the ins and outs. I think they was all afforded the same rights and privileges of a straight, union of people. And with that, there came, other laws and legislations and whatnot. But during the Biden administration, they moved forward with, filling in key administration heads. They was putting them, transformers in certain big positions, you know what I'm saying? Openly, LGBTQT, plus in positions and whatnot, and so that was the thing, Barack signed the legislation and actually gave them rights, and then, And the Biden administration proceeded to employ and empower them. You follow what I'm saying? And I want to say this real quick before I move forward, and if say anything else towards that. If you dial it back to the '60s when MLK, Martin Luther King, was advocating for civil rights and whatnot, you can actually go back to those days. Talking about which administration was in there? LBJ, what is his name? Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ. He actually signed into law the civil rights and whatnot. But on the heels of that, a lot of other minorities or other groups piggybacked off of that. And that's where we find ourselves today here in present day 2025 in the 2000s and whatnot. You've seen a gradual progression to what we see now. And, given that piggyback ride from civil rights, you so-called blacks, you want to fight for everybody's rights. You want to flex your muscles and y'all can join on with us and you find yourself with no rights because Donald Trump is dialing back the civil rights along with this, what is DEI. We're going to pull this, we're going to pull it, but, given the whole circumstances, the situation that America finds itself in, and you so-called blacks mainly, and you Latinos and Native Americans, you co-sign all this madness. You feel what I'm saying? You co-sign this, and even though Trump is a hypocrite and Biden, they're all hypocrites. Anyone that has taken that seat, that executive office, they're all hypocrites. But we're going to focus on them two because these are the most recent hypocrites, But you can look at the things that Biden has done, his administration has been forwarded, and man, it's just everything's just out of whack, man. You got Transformers, at preschool reading books and whatnot, looking like a whole Homer the Clown with a dress on. You know what I'm saying? That madness. You feel what I'm saying? You even got books, that get explicit when it's talking about, sex. You know what I'm talking about? And it's talking about books for children, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, you know what I'm talking about? 6-year-olds, that type of madness. And these things were forwarded behind these administrations, man, pushing these different abominations, you know what I'm talking about? And so Trump has been set up as for lack of better words, he's like the prince in shining armor. He's going to come save the day and get rid of a lot of these programs, you know what I'm talking about? And for that, hey, good riddance. Yeah, I'm not, get rid of them, you know what I'm saying? Got no quarrels with that. And, but as concerning you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are being held to blame to this, whether you know it or not, especially you so-called Negroes with that civil rights miss, because all this stuff could be traced back to that. Why you think Trump is getting rid of he's rolling back the civil rights? I've mentioned in many of my videos that was a right that was afforded to you, and that has to be voted on every 10 years so that you can secure you some rights here. You so-called blacks, all these other groups, man, they got rights to bag them. You know what I'm talking about? Especially you so-called blacks. You're sitting here looking at everybody that stole your style, the hip hop community and your swag, your dress, your way you talk, your bump fists and everything, but you left with nothing. Holding a wet towel. But on a serious note, getting back to Trump is rolling this stuff back, man. You know what I'm talking about? And all this stuff is predicated, like I say, off the civil rights. That's why he has also signed an executive order to do away with that. He's blaming this damn plane crash on that. You know what I'm talking about? And so let's see what that actually gets into. Let's see what that, what is the DEI. Let me see real quick before we go there. Let's see this real quick. Let's see what Trump has to say real quick.
I didn't know what chicken does to cortisol until I saw this.
Chicken and rice is the best meal to help you lose.
Mostly intact upon the arrival of the recovery team, despite being upside down in the water, we're told. And just moments ago, President Trump addressed the nation to offer his condolences to the families of those victims. Take a listen.
This was a dark and excruciating night in our nation's capital and in our nation's history, and a tragedy of terrible proportions. As one nation, we grieve for every precious soul that has been taken from us so suddenly. And we are a country of, really, we are in mourning. This is really shaken a lot of people, including people, very sadly, from other nations who were on the flight. For the family members back in Wichita, Kansas, here in Washington, D.C., and throughout the United States and in Russia, we have a Russia contingent of very talented people. Unfortunately, were on that plane. Very, very, very sorry about that. Whose loved ones were aboard the passenger jet. We can only begin to imagine the agony that you're all feeling. Nothing worse. On behalf of the First Lady, myself, and 340 million Americans, our hearts are shattered alongside yours, and our prayers are with you now. And in the days to come, we'll be working very, very diligently in the days to come. We're here for you to wipe away the tears and to offer you our devotion, our love, and our support. There's great support. In moments like this, the differences between Americans fade to nothing compared to the bonds of affection and loyalty that unite us all, both as Americans and even as nations. We are one family, and today we are all heartbroken. We're all searching for answers.
Let's get right to CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. She's at Reagan National Airport. Caitlin, thank you for being with us. I want to get to what he said in that press conference in just a moment. But first, can you talk a little bit about what's happening there at the airport? We know it just reopened to the
and heading off to the here at 2 in the morning to a completely crash. Somber morning here and into these early hours. And
I'm gonna skip up some.
this airport, this is a highly trafficked airport. This is also a very frequent stop for
the highest intellect and psych.
Had to say about this crash from the White House.
Capitol Hill, especially with how well acquainted.
Now let's see what Trump has to say now. We noticed that he's reading from a script, so But one more thing, these heads of state, we'll call them presidents. The moment they step in office, it's a catastrophe, isn't it? There's always a catastrophe waiting on them. It's waiting in the wings. Tomorrow say they got to get right to work. The honeymoon is over, and let's roll up our sleeves and start the agenda of the hidden hand, for lack of better words. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's listen to what Trump has to say about this, where it says he blames DEI policies.
They are with this airport, and again, wanting to get that message to Americans across the country about safety when it comes to the air.
Caitlin Huey-Burns from Reagan National Airport. Caitlin, thank you so much for that report. Meanwhile, let's listen to more of what the president had to say about this crash from the White House briefing room earlier this morning. Take a listen.
We do not know what led to this crash, but we have some very strong opinions and ideas, and I think we'll probably state those opinions now. I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, they have to be the highest intellect and psych.
Now That's funny. Now, I hadn't personally listened to this clip, but it's funny. It's funny that he goes right to the Obama administration. Mind you, I mean, I guess that what you would expect from a Republican, to attack the Democrats, but he went directly to the Obama administration. And mind you, the Obama administration actually signed into law the legalization of two people of the same gender could be wedded and be afforded the same rights as a couple that's male and female.
Biologically superior people were allowed only the highest aptitude. We state those opinions now.
This crash from the White House briefing room earlier this morning. Take a listen.
We do not know what led to this crash, but we have some very strong opinions and ideas, and I think we'll probably state those opinions now. I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, they have to be the highest intellect and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers. That was not so prior to getting there. When I arrived in 2016, I made that change very early on because I always felt this was a job that, and other jobs too, but this was a job that had to be superior intelligence.
Remember when you were a kid and thought anything was possible, but now you're watching others succeed while you're stuck wondering?
Jobs too, but this was a job that had to be superior intelligence.
Now, the president also said that he believes DEI policies played a role in this. Take a listen to that.
I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers and others, by the way. Then my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. They have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel. I'll have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA.
All right, let's bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. Ed, thank you for being with us.
Did you hear what he said? He said these folks have been hired prior to the Obama administration, during the Obama administration. These folks have low IQ. And he directly attacked DEI. Now, we're going to get into that, and I'm going to try to tie in, try to marry together the correlation of Barack Obama and DEI and why Trump is making these comments, that I personally, hey, it is what it is, it is what it is. But let's see what this reporter has to say, and then we're gonna move on to a little article.
Has there been any reaction yet to the president's comments during this press conference about DEI policies playing a role in this?
Well, Elizabeth, it wrapped up at the top of the hour, so it's hard to know. But what he's doing there, in essence, and he said he was going to do this, was he's jumping to conclusions before an investigation is even underway. And he said, I'm going to do that because he didn't essentially want to have to wait several years until the investigation is over. And what he's doing is essentially drawing attention to a series of steps he's taken since he became president about 9 days ago that are designed to end, curtail, stop funding all sorts of programs in the realm of diversity, equity, and inclusion that he says have permeated the federal government needlessly over the last several years and taken the eye of those agencies and departments off of their primary mission, which in the case of the FAA is safety, which in the case of all the others is up for debate. He would not say he was asked and also kind of avoided questions about whether he was seeing something specific in who was involved in this, either in the air traffic control tower or aboard either of the aircraft, that would suggest that somebody in this was hired under one of those programs or is a minority or something else. But that appeared to be what he was in.
Minority. First thing come to mind is you so-called blacks, African Americans. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, and I'm being a little cynical. But again, well, let's get into the read. I'll show you why I'm being cynical. Let's go to real quick. I can show you better than I'm telling you. Okay, we already got it drawn up here. And what we'll do is and that D.I.E is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it reads, it says, the examples of perspectives in an article deal primarily with the United States. Learn more. D.E.I. As you see it right there. See that in parentheses? D.E.I. And this has everything to do with minorities and, wait, let's read it. It reads, diversity and equity and inclusion are organizational frameworks which seek to promote the fair treatment for the fair treatment and full participation of all people, particularly groups who have historically been underrepresented or subject to discrimination on the base of identity or disability. You heard him talk about mental illnesses and whatnot. You heard him say that, right? Okay, let's keep going. It says these three notions, diversity, equity, and inclusion, together represent three closely linked values which organizations seek to institutionalize through D.E.I frameworks. It says the concept predates this terminology, and other variations sometimes include terms such as belonging, justice, and accessibility. As such, frameworks such as inclusion and diversity, I&D, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging to DEIB. See, all these different things right here are attached to, you just seen discrimination, identity, disability. So it says diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Look at all these different what's your names, or EDIJ, or JEDI, or diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. You see all the acronyms. It says equal diversity. So I guess he's trying to say whoever was flying them, or not flying, but in them damn air traffic control towers would, somebody might have been disabled or mentally flawed or something. You know what I'm saying? And these administrations, these Democratic administrations, they hire flawed individuals. You know what I'm saying? People who are not qualified for the job. He said something about the people, the geniuses should be in those spots. You follow what I'm saying? He said that. So I'm just trying to read between the lines here, Okay, let's keep reading. It says diversity refers to the presence of variety within the organizational workforce, such as in identity and identity politics. It includes gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, disability, age, culture, class, religion, or opinion. Equity refers to concepts of fairness and justice. So this program right here, it helps the minority. You feel what I'm saying? So, So who is the face of the minorities? You so-called blacks. And then you have the LGBTQ. And then you have the, I don't know if the cross-dressers or the the trans, I don't know what group they're part of. I don't know. LGBT, yeah, that is part of that. You have the women's rights, what you call it, feminine rights, or feminine rights? No, the feminist movement. I mean, if you do your research, you'll find that there was a lot of other groups that was piggybacking off of the civil rights. This is just another civil rights acronym, if you ask me. A piece of civil rights legislation, I'm talking about, afforded back to the civil rights. Now, mind you, he signed an executive order. If I'm wrong, if I'm stating this wrong, then I stand corrected. But it was rolling back civil rights. And then here we come with this right here, So like he said, that reporter said he doing what he said he was going to do, which, he was set up to do that anyway. Anyway, let's keep reading. It says, equity refers to the concept of fairness and justice, such as fair compensation and sustainable equality. More specifically, equity usually also includes a focus on statistical disparities, and allocating resources and decision-making authorities to groups that have historically been disadvantaged. So this is giving, let's go up, this is giving power to the genders, ethnicity, people with sexual orientation, problems, disability, age, culture, class, religion, or opinion. This is giving power over to them. And Trump may be saying that, these people are not in the best, they don't best qualify for these jobs. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, he could be saying that, It says, moreover, specific equities usually, more specifically, equality usually also includes a focus on sociological disparities and allocating resources and decision-making authority to groups, see? So this right here helped these groups to be empowered. So they're given rights, right? During the Barack administration, they were given rights. I hate to say, I cannot remember what that bill. I know it's an 8. I know it's that, and I always get it wrong. So I don't want to be sitting up here making it seem like I'm being funny or nothing. So, but I know it's an 8 in it. And that was given the legal, by law, by federal law, all people who were dealing with gender, sexual orientation, the right to be included in the whole scheme of things and not be disenfranchised because they were looked upon, frowned upon, as weird and whatnot. You feel what I'm saying? Which I, for one, consider that weird, distasteful, and downright abominable. And maybe this legislation is that are these executive orders that Trump has signed is going to do away with this madness, because them planes, that helicopter and that plane crashing and whatnot, he want to blame it on someone that was benefiting off this DEI. As he said, they need to be bright and geniuses, and and obviously these people are not bright and genius. And okay, more specifically, equity usually also includes a focus on statistical disparities, okay, and allocating resources and decision-making authority to groups that have historically been disadvantaged, and taking into consideration a person's unique circumstances, adjusting treatment accordingly so that the end result is equal rights. See that? Civil rights. And this is all off the backs of you so-called blacks, always championing in someone else's causes and come back to bite you in your ass every time. Finally, inclusion refers to creating an organizational culture that creates an experience where all employees feel their voices will be heard and a sense of belonging and integration integration. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Yeah, all this right here it sounds familiar. Yes, it does, and that's maybe why you so-called blacks, you got your panties in a bunch, because he's gonna do away with these things. You know what I'm saying? You ain't had no rights anyway. You know what I'm saying? Qualified immunity. You know what that is? That's why these boys in blue walking around here with that dang Rothschild shield on their chest is able to get away with unaliving you for any reason that they can cook up in their minds. You know what I'm talking about? Qualified immunity. So where your rights at? If this was happening on a large scale to these people who have disabilities, sexual orientations, class, and religion, you know, on them grounds, there'll probably be something done to them about that. But when it comes to you called blacks, ain't nothing being done about it. But you all disembobulated because they're getting rid of the, you know what I'm saying? Get rid of it, Trump. Okay, let's keep going. D.I is most often used to describe certain training efforts such as diversity training, although DEI is best known as a form of corporate training. It also finds implementation within many types of organizations, such as within academic schools, hospitals, academic and schools. Yeah, you got these funny looking people, look like men with a clown face on, you know what I'm talking about, showing up at preschool and whatnot. You feel what I'm saying? You know, you got your broke wrist people that are in healthcare and whatnot, you know. Sound like a whole girl, but it's a dude. And hospitals into 2020s, DEI efforts and policies have generated criticism and controversy, some direct at the specific effectiveness of its tools, such as diversity training and its effect on free speech. See, their effect on free speech, because you can't say nothing about these people either. Now, you know what I'm talking about? They have been afforded rights and laws, and then they have what they have laws to protect them, right? And then if you to violate them laws, you know, you politically incorrect when you talk about them. PC, you know, that's hate speech, and Lord forbid you lay a finger on them, that's a hate crime. It says, and it is effect on free speech and academic freedom, as well as more broadly attracting criticism on political or philosophical grounds. In addition, the term DEI has gained traction as an ethnic slur toward minority groups in the U.S. of A. There you have it. And Trump seeks to get rid of this madness and put people who can guide planes in and not be worried about you calling them sir and you know, and it's a man, you know what I'm talking about? Because you can see that as a distraction. That's a distraction, you know what I'm saying? Now let's get on to the other portion of this video, and we'll grab a few precepts. The hypocrisy, because it's on both sides. You don't think I'm sitting here standing up for Trump. What he's doing, hey, should have been done, but he set up to do that because the left has just dropped the ball with all this madness, man, with all this DEI and all these rights for these weirdos and whatnot. You feel what I'm saying? Just place is just a moral mess. You know what I'm talking about? And it seemed like Trump is the man to clean it up. Mind you, it just seems that way. Real quick, now let's get into some of the hypocrisy, and then we'll touch on some of the D.E.I appointees. Now let's look at some of the hypocrisy from the left.
Presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered. Go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you, Gary.
From a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there?
I just said no. I just answered.
The hypocrisy. Now, that was the first openly LGBTQTY XYZ black immigrant, you know what I'm saying? All of those different things that actually benefited off of D.E.I, in other words, civil rights. Yeah, but let's focus on the hypocrisy. She just was questioned by the press, and she said no, that they were not going to. The White House was not going to pardon President Joe Biden's son. Just said that, right? Okay, let's see. Let's focus in on the hypocrisy.
ABC News Special Report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis at ABC News headquarters here in New York. We're coming on the air this hour with breaking news. President Biden has just pardoned his son Hunter on gun and tax charges that he was facing. The president reversed his previous position. He had long said that he would not pardon Hunter, expressing faith in the justice system and the rule of law. President Biden was emphatic, telling our David Muir this summer that he would not pardon his son when he was directly asked. And Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters on Monday that the president had spoken on the issue. ABC's chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl joins us now on the phone. And John, does this come as a surprise to you?
No, it doesn't. Because these people don't stand on nothing righteous. You understand? They can tell you a smile. I mean, they can tell you a lie with a big smile on their face, you know. Just as smooth and, you know, and gentle-like and pleasant and all of those adjectives that make you just believe in them. I believe in them. You know what I'm talking about? But the end result is always the same, man. That's why it boggles my mind to see that Jake is just I don't know, just a fool, you know, like a whore. Get pimped, you know. I'm gonna use that terminology. Yeah, Jake like to get pimped, you know. We'll go out here in the world, you know, and amongst these heathens and whatnot, well, let me just use the pimp and the hoe analogy. You know what I'm talking about? She got the box, you know what the box is, you know what I'm talking about, and she is the whore. And then she got this guy in her ear whispering sweet nothings, and she goes out and sell the box, her body, you know what I'm talking about, the woman. And then she comes back with the money and give it back to the guy that's whispering the sweet nothings in her ear when she got the box, the body, and she goes out and does the work, so she reaps none of the reward, though. You know what I'm talking about? That's Jake in a nutshell. And in fact, now let's go to a scripture. Me and brother Yaitazar was talking earlier, and he came up with a beautiful scripture. And this just hits the point for you so-called blacks. You know what I'm talking about? With this damn of the civil rights madness. You feel what I'm saying? You know, you got this BLM and all this stuff right here spun off the back of that, man. You know, feminist groups and LGBTQ groups. You go back and research about Martin Luther King. I think Trump just released those, the on Kennedy and King. You know what I'm talking about? And you go read up on King and how he had a guy named Byron Rustin, you know what I'm talking about, openly LGBTQ dude, you know what I'm talking about, raping little white boys back in the 50s, you know what I'm talking about, over there in Los Angeles. Got caught in the back seat with a little white boy, 16 years old. Byron Rustin was was a strategic part of the civil rights movement, and he was an LGBTQ member. You feel what I'm saying? So they were always there. You feel what I'm saying? But they just needed a catalyst. They needed a horse to ride in on, and you Jakes, you the horse that they rode in on. You know what I'm talking about? You the whore that get all wet and sloppy and whatnot, and then you go take the money back to the pimp. You know what I'm talking about? This is Ezekiel chapter 16. Let me see. This is Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 32, and it reads, it says, but as a wife that committeth adultery, see, which taketh strangers instead of her husband. And like we said in Jeremiah 6 and 2, matter of fact, real quick, Jeremiah 6 and 2, I think it is. It says, this is Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 1. It says, O ye children of Benjamin, gather yourselves to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem, and blow the trumpet in Tika, and set up a sign of fire for Beth Harseman. For evil appeareth out of the north, and great destruction. Verse 2. Now this is speaking about the nation by and large. It says, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Comely goes into a beautiful, a likely, you know, to my. So the Most High is our husband, you know, to my. He's the one to provide. So the husband, you see these shows, these women, I want a man to provide it, you know, to my. So he's the husband. He supplants. He's the provider of the nation of Israel. But you didn't want that now. You like to be the whore. Go out here and be again. Wait, let's get to it. You want to be a whore. And so you're gonna be used like one. That's why Trump rolling back these, what's your name? Good for you. You know what I'm talking about? Because you allow your trust in the wrong entity anyway. This is Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 32. But as a wife that committeth adultery, which taketh strangers instead of her husband, the nation of Israel wanna liken yourselves to these heathens and deal with them and assimilate, you know what I'm talking about, inclusion, just like that D.E.I, you know what I'm talking about, inclusion, you know what I'm talking about, instead of doing the will of your father, your heavenly father, your husband, you know what I'm talking about. Verse 33, they give gifts to all whores, but thou givest thy gift to all thy lovers. and hires them, that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom. Verse 34, and the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredom, whereas none followed thee to commit whoredoms, and in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee, therefore thou art contrary. See, everybody else getting a reward. Everybody can come here and get treated like a hoe, but they gonna get their reward, and then you're not you though. You ain't getting the rights afforded to you. That what you get qualified immunity. That means you can be unalive for any reason. Show me your ID. And you reach for it, and the officer, he got a gun. You know what I'm talking about? Qualified immunity. You feel what I'm saying? That's your reward. You don't get no reward. I'm going to read that again in verse 34. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms, whereas none followed thee to commit whoredoms, and in that thou gavest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee. You didn't get the rights, but these other groups, they got all kind of rights. If you say something out of line, that's hate speech, and if you act on it, that's a hate crime. But when something done to you, qualified immunity. Stand your ground. You follow what I'm saying? Stand your ground. You know what I'm talking about? Jake woman go stay the night with a bunch of so-called white women, and she fall off the second floor, Nobody get charged. We don't know what happened. You feel what I'm saying? You get no reward and you get no justice. Y'all know that old slogan, no justice, no peace. Hell out of here. Anyway, it says, verse 35, it says, no, let me finish reading. And no reward is given unto thee, therefore thou art contrary. It says, verse 35, wherefore, O harlot, hear the word of the Lord Yahweh. Thus said the Lord Yahweh power, because thy filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms with thy lovers, and with all the idols of the abominations, see that? And by the blood of thy children, which thou didst give unto them. Yeah, y'all believe in goddamn Jay-Z and Puff Daddy and all these, what his name? Too Short, brother just got unalive. Let's see if he gonna get any rewards and the gifts. You know what I'm talking about? Eddie Murphy brother was, went into the spirit realm a year or so back, a couple years back. You know what I'm talking about? Let's see the rewards. Let's see if they're gonna be doing any better for the wear. You follow me? Disney kids and whatnot. This place can care less about children and whatnot. And on the contrary, you don't either. If it's gonna put you in a better set of conditions, yeah, you willing to sacrifice your little ones. That dude did what's your name? Old Unc something suing Nelly for $50 million. He claimed that he got out of prison, but he had to give up one of his sons. He said, I can have another son. This is the mindset of you jakes, man. Phew. Sad, but true. It says, behold, verse 37, behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers, whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all them that thou hast loved, with all them that thou hast hated, I will even gather them round about against thee. See? Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to get blamed for all of this. Of the backs of your quote unquote ancestors, mothers and grandfathers and great grandfathers. You know what I'm talking about? And in the end, they running up to the UN saying that you so-called immigrants, Northern Kingdom, y'all pushing up the deficit, coming in here, refugees, you know what I'm talking about, swelling up the economy and whatnot, with all this housing and all these other things, you know what I'm saying, that are being afforded to you. And you so-called blacks, y'all want rights and whatnot. All these things cost money. And everybody's getting a piece of the pie off y'all ass. So the Lord said, what? I will even gather them around about against thee, and will discover thy nakedness unto them, that they may see all thy nakedness. And it reads, and I will judge thee as women that break wedlock and shed blood are judged. And I will give thee blood and fury and jealousy. It says, verse 39, and I will also give thee into thy hand, and they shall throw down thy intimate places, your high places, and shall break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes, and shall take thy fair jewelry, and leave thee naked and bare. Yeah, because like I say, everybody gets something, but you don't get nothing. Somebody begging for reparations and whatnot. And they systematically cutting these things out, your civil rights and whatnot. Now, real quick, let me close this out. Okay. We got this in the NLT. Let's break this down in a more simpler form. That old English just be tripping me up. I'm like a fifth grader trying to read Mandarin or something, you know what I'm saying? So let's close it out with this. So this is that same set of scriptures I read, Ezekiel 16 and 32, but this is in the New Living Translation, and it says, yes, you are an adulterous wife who takes in strangers instead of her own husband. You liking on these ways of these other nations, I'm talking about, going back to the book of Judges. You always wanted somebody to be, going back to Shit, the book of Samuel, you know what I'm talking about? Y'all wanted a king, you know what I'm talking about? Y'all didn't want the Lord. You didn't want the Lord. You know, you want to be like these other people, man. You know what I'm talking about? You know? And so they let you in by using you, man, like a pimp. And now you're seeing these agencies and these quote unquote rights, civil rights are drying up, all but been done away with now. You know what I'm talking about? But everybody else has profited off of your pain and tears and blood and suffering and whatnot, you know, walking the streets and getting dogs sicked on you and whatnot. And in the end, they gonna still find a way to blame you for it. Trump said you got to put smart people in there. You people are the problem. You know, you gender confused folks, you minority folks. You know what I'm talking about? Anyway, let's read verse 33. It says, prostitutes charge for their services, but not you. Yeah, getting pimped, man. It says you give gifts to your lovers, bribing them to come and have sex with you. It says, so you are the opposite of other prostitutes. You pay for your lovers instead of their paying you. See what I'm saying? Yo, your $1 trillion, $1.6 trillion every year you invest in this place, man. You were tricked into getting out for coming out of those quote unquote Jake cities back in the day, like Tulsa and Tulsa, Oklahoma, and shit. There's others. One down in Florida that come to mind. You know, having your own this, your own that, your own. But you've been tricked with this damn civil rights. You thought the so-called white man ice was colder. His bathrooms were cleaner. His lunch counters, they was more nicer. I don't know what you're seeing. You know what I'm talking about? But you pay for your services. You know what I'm talking about? By way of what? Taxes. Because you've been liking on to the system. You've been brought in just to be made a fool of. Because in the end, let's keep moving. It says, so you are opposite of other prostitutes. You pay your lovers instead of they're paying you. Therefore, you prostitute. Listen to this message from the Lord Yahweh. This is what the sovereign Lord Yahweh says, because you have poured out your lust and exposed yourself in prostitution to all your lovers, and because you have worshipped detestable idols, you know, this Jesus Christ crap, Jehovah, you know, 7-day Adventists and Buddha and Allah. It says, because you have poured out your lust and exposed yourself in prostitution to all your lovers, and because you have worshipped detestable idols, and because you have slaughtered your children as sacrifice to your gods, this is what I am going to do. I will gather together all your allies, the lovers with whom you have sinned, both those you have loved and those you hate, and I will strip you naked in front of them so that they can stare at you. And everybody see you as the problem. Everybody. You got Chirac. You know what I'm saying? You got Atlanta. You know, you got LGBTQ Atlanta. You feel what I'm saying? You know, you got confused New Orleans. You know I'm going with it. You know, you Negroes, they the problem. Negroes are detestable. And then you got them Northern Kingdoms, and they coming in and they setting up in neighborhoods and robbing and kick-doing folks and stuff. You the problem. You feel what I'm saying? I will strip you naked in front of them so that they can stare at you. And that's what's happening. Everybody looking at you. And it's time to do away with you. That's what they gymming up now. Make no mistake about it, at the end of the day, they thinking about getting rid of you. That has never left the forefront of their mind. Verse 38, and I will punish you for your murder and adultery. I will cover you with blood and my jealous fury. Then will I give you to these many nations who are your lovers, and they will destroy you. They will knock down your pagan shrines and the altars to your idols. They will strip you and take your beautiful jewels, leaving you shrank naked. So, but that's the point. You're going to be made a spectacle, which you already are, you know what I'm talking about? But the blame is being laid at your feet while you have been complaining about they've been rolling back this and they rolling back that. You ain't got it in all this time. You ain't going to never get it. You're going to be just like this scripture right here. Because you can put your trust in the society and want to complain about folks not going out and participating and voting and whatnot. Now you being made. Now you confused. You're confused now. Trump done came in here with them executive orders like a madman. You know what I'm talking about? Got straight to work. This is Isaiah 30:1. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore," listen to this here, "therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." Yeah, now you're looking stupid. You're shamed and confused. In the end, you're gonna feel all of this. You feeling it now, but a majority you probably ain't acknowledging it. But deep down inside, you feel confused and ashamed. You know what I'm talking about? Because the Lord has been reaching His hand out. Like it says in Isaiah. Matter of fact, He been saying it for the longest, and He been doing it for the longest. I think it's let me see, 65. I think. This is Isaiah 65:1, and it reads, "I am sought of them that ask not for me." See, He been looking for you. He been wanting you. He wants you to reach to Him. He wants you to, "I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me, here I am, unto a nation that was not called by my name." You know what I'm talking about? Because guess what? You would call everything else but the children of the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yasha'Allah, the Israelites. You would call everything else, blacks, Hispanics, African Americans, Jamaicans, West Indians, North American Indians, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, you know what I'm talking about, Haitians, you know what I'm talking about, Venezuelans, you know what I'm talking about, Chileans, Brazilians. You call all those different bywords and proverbs. And the Lord been looking for you to reach out to Him. He says, "I have spread out my hand all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good, after their own thoughts, a people that provoke me to anger continuously to my face, that sacrifice in gardens, and burneth incense upon altars of brick." See? You them people. And in the end, you know what I'm talking about, these things that you see Donald Trump doing and whatnot, hey, man, well, it is what it is. You refuse to hearken, to listen, you know what I'm talking about, and you're going to be looking with egg on your face. What you expect from hypocrites. And there's more to come, Lord willing. Yeah, there's more to come. I'm gonna do a part 2 of this video. This is long enough. I got other videos gemmed up. But Lord willing, it was edifying, and I will be making a part 2 to this. So having said that, Lord willing, it was an edifying video, and I'm going to close out by giving infinite honor, praise, and glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders, great millstone. And with that, shalom.